Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay, good, good, good. I got a response. Perfect. Okay, hi, everyone. Hope you guys are all having a happy holidays. I know we're meeting on Friday. I told you. Listen, we are on week 18. I'm not trying to play any games. I understand it's a holiday. We don't have as many people as we usually do, but it's fine because this group is 26 weeks long. So we need to keep it moving. Like we can't keep taking breaks because then we'll be here till 2022. And so here we are. Okay. So welcome to week 18. Today is going to be all question based. So let's go ahead and get into some questions. Okay, so this is where we are. We are on week 18, which is going over chapter 16, quality concepts and performance measures. So 16 and 17. Next week, we're going to be covering chapter 4, which is accrediting and regulatory agencies, which is actually a really fun lesson. All right, so quiz time. Let me make sure I can hide this. You guys can see the screen, right? I'm sharing the right screen. Yes, I think I am. All right. So DMAIC refers to a data-driven quality strategy for improving processes and is an integral part of the Six Sigma quality initiative. The DMAIC format includes all of these except A, control the improvements only until problems are no longer prevalent. B, improve the target process by designing creative solutions to fix and prevent problems. C, define the customer project boundaries and improvement process. Or D, measure the performance of the process involved. So I'll give you some time. Okay, so we have the answer choices that have been selected are A, B, and D. All right, so the correct answer is A. Control the improvements only until problems are no longer prevalent. So let's go over our rationale. DMAIC, an abbreviation for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, refers to a data-driven improvement cycle used for improving, optimizing, and stabilizing business processes and designs. The DMAIC improvement cycle is the core tool used to drive Six Sigma projects. The purpose of control step is to sustain the gains of the process and to monitor the improvements to ensure continued and sustainable success. Okay, question 2. The annual education budget for the Infection Prevention Department is $1,650. In October, the Infection Prevention Manager allocated 20% of the department education budget towards resources for the annual flu shot program. However, in November, the financial report indicates that only 15% was spent. How much of the budget amount remains unspent? A, $330, B, $247.50, C, $82.50, or D, $66. So you're going to have to do some math. I'll give you a little bit longer on this one. Okay, so we are getting some answers. Okay, good, good, good. We're getting C. All right, let me call on somebody. I'm gonna call on a colleague, Charles. Let me see if I can unmute you. So you can just talk us through your thought process. All right, let me see. Okay, Charles, I can't hear you if you're talking.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, go ahead. Tell us how you got to your answer.
Okay, so I like math, but
I know
had to
you
really
do.
look the obviously you had to really look the question because at first I almost bid for 330 because I took 20%, but then I had to go back and take 15% to figure out what was left. So the quick way to get that for me was to take it in bites of 10. So 10% of 1650 is 165, and then I cut that in half to see what was left because only 5% was left. So and that's where I got C. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Charles. All right, guys. So Charles is actually really good at math. So I'm not surprised that he got this one right. But if you are on the struggle bus sometimes, like myself, and math is not your strong point or your strong suit, one of your strengths, know that you are going to have access to a calculator on the screen when you're taking the test. So he's able to do all of the shenanigans in his brain. Um, I cannot, okay? I'm really not good at math. So when you are taking the test, you have the ability to use a calculator. So they're saying with this question, we have $1,650 as our budget. All right. And 20% of that is for the annual flu shot program. So if we do 1,650 times 0.20, we get $330. So that is how much we're allotted. But she only spent 15%. So we have to remember that 330. And what I would have to do is I would have to actually do 1,000. Okay. Wait, okay, give me 1 second. 247.5. So what I would have to do, what I had to do to get the right answer was do 15% of the budget, right? And then subtract that. Subtract the 20 minus the 15, which gave me C. But Charles used his head. So whatever you have to do to get it, that's what you're going to have to do to get it. I'm sorry, I'm not good at explaining math, but let's read through this explanation. I'm just telling you, you will have access to a calculator. So if you struggle like me, don't worry, you have a calculator. So a budget is a quantitative expression of a plan for a defined period of time. It may include planned sales, volumes and revenues, resource quantities, costs and expenses, assets, liabilities, and cash flows. It expresses strategic plans of business units, organizations, activities, or events in measurable terms. The manager's budget for the flu program is 20% of 1,650. So 1,650 times 20, oh, I should have just read this because you guys can actually see it, is 330. However, only 15%, which is what I did. This is what I was doing when I was being really quiet. I was using my little calculator over here. So, however, only 15%, so 1,650 times 0.15 or 247.50 was spent. This leaves a remainder of 82.50. So you're taking your 330 minus your 247.50, and that's what's going to give you that answer of a remainder of $82. Can we talk about a budget of 1,650? That's for education. Do you know how much education we do? We're gonna need a little bit of support, a little bit of oomph to that budget. Okay, so question 3. Which of the following is an example of an effective performance measure? A measure that has been developed based on observation of practices in a facility. B, a measure that is based on a definition that can easily be understood and applied in a facility. C, a measure that demonstrates a return on investment. D, a measure that takes into consideration customer satisfaction. Okay, so go ahead and read over that one. Okay, so we have a lot of different answer choices selected. We have B, we have C, D. Okay, so we have a lot of different answer choices. Okay. So our correct answer is going to be a measure that it's based on a definition that can easily be understood and applied in a facility. So which of the following is an example of an effective performance measure? A measure that is based on a definition that can easily be understood and applied in a facility. So what is our rationale? So this is chapter 17, which is performance measures. Performance measures should be evidence-based, well-defined, clinically important for patient populations, and broadly applicable in different types of facilities. Selection of performance measures will be based on both external and internal measurement requirements. Okay, question 4. The purpose of the annual infection prevention program risk assessment is to A. Determine goals and objectives for the following year. B. Describe support requirements of the program. C. Outline the achievements and activities of the program. D. Document the facility's risks of infection. Okay, let's see what answers we have selected. Okay, we have quite a bit of A's and D's. I would say A and D are the two most popular ones. So let's see. The purpose of the annual infection prevention program risk assessment is to A. Determine the goals and objectives for the following year. So one of the things that I really want to stress is, okay, when you're being asked these questions, you have to remember the differences between your risk assessments and your evaluations. So with an evaluation, you're going to obviously be focusing more on this. On C, outlining the achievements and activities of the program, describing support requirements of the program. So what do we need, when you're evaluating your program, what do we need? What type of areas do we need support in? And then look at the things that we have accomplished. You're evaluating. With a risk assessment, your annual risk assessment, you're determining goals and objectives for the following year, right? I can see why you might gravitate towards D, but that's like, mm, that's not really what we're doing with the risk assessment. Okay, an annual risk assessment must be performed to determine goals and objectives for the infection prevention program. These should be based on the institution's strategic goals and institutional data and findings from the previous year's activities. Infection prevention resources and data systems needs should be evaluated in the context of these goals and objectives. So this will be chapter 1. Chapter 1, infection prevention and control programs. All right, question 5. managing infection prevention outcomes, analyzing various trends, and evaluating corrective actions taken to reduce infection risks are components of A, case management, B, utilization review, C, performance improvement, or D, medical review. Okay, let's see where we are. Yay! Okay, so I have everybody, basically chose C. Performance improvement. Very good. Okay, good. So what is our rationale? Performance improvement is measuring the output of a particular process or procedure, then modifying the process or procedure to increase the output, increase efficiency, or increase the effectiveness of the process or procedure. Performance improvement is an ongoing cycle that focuses on patient clinical outcomes and customer satisfaction and service. Measuring performance determines program effectiveness and efficiency and whether proactive approaches or retrospective analysis of high-risk processes can further improve the infection prevention program. So chapter 16, quality concepts. All right, question 6. The IP is performing the annual evaluation of the infection prevention and control program. Components of this document should include 1. The achievements and activities of the program. 2. Results from the latest accreditation survey. 3. Stress the value of the program to the organization. 4. Satisfy the legal requirements for reporting infections. And this is like, you have your options A, B, C, and D, basically mixing up those numbers. Sorry, there's a lot of people who listen to it, who listen to the lectures, and I was just trying to let them know. So option A is 1 and 2, option B is 2 and 3, option C is 1 and 3, and D is 3 and 4. Okay, so most common answer is, honestly, nobody has selected anything other than this one, C. Um, so far. Oh, we just had somebody who chose a different one. Okay, so the correct answer is C. So the IP is performing the annual evaluation of the infection prevention and control program. Components of this document should include. The correct answer is 1 and 3. So the achievements and activities of the program, or C, stress the value of the program to the organization. Okay, when you are taking the test, this is one of those questions which I find actually quite difficult, because when you're reading the answer choices, they all seem like they would be good things to include. It's like, oh, if I'm evaluating my program, what were the results of the last accreditation survey? Are we satisfying our legal requirements for reporting infections? The way that they put, the way that they have set this question up, I think is quite tricky, and I can see why some of you would get confused and want to choose different things. So let me give you a tip. When you are taking your test and you come across questions like this, if you are really truly unsure, please make sure you give your best educated guess, but do not get hung up on these questions. The test really has a lot of focusing on timing. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to, IPs who are like, I ran out of time. Like, I ran out of time. I literally had 20 questions left or 15 questions left, however many that I couldn't get to. I just had to guess. I just had to guess because, I spent too much time on other questions. Read the question, do your best, and keep it moving. The reason is that when you get hung up on questions like this, it eats up your clock. It eats up your time. So like I mentioned previously with your evaluations, you're focusing on your achievements and activities of the program, and you're also stressing the value of the program of the organization. And this is when you're going to be asking for support, right? So you're going to be asking for what kind of support do I need for our program, right? And this is all based off their chapter. So chapter 1, infection prevention control programs, this is what they say about your annual evaluation. An annual evaluation of the infection prevention program is important to outline achievements and activities of the program and describe support requirements. The value of the infection prevention program to the organization should be emphasized, along with patient outcomes and cost savings. So this is what your chapter text is telling you need to focus on for your annual evaluation. So that's why those two are the correct answers. And it should kind of make sense. But don't get hung up on these. You have to keep it moving. Remember that if there's one that you're unsure about, I promise you there's going to be 5 questions down the road that you're going to be really solid on and you're going to know what the right answer is. Okay, all of the following are examples of risk-adjusted stratification, except A, CLABSI rates by birth weight in the NICU. B, needle stick injuries by profession. C, CAUTI rate for the ICU. D, CLABSI rates by type of line. So all of the following are examples of risk-adjusted stratifications except. Okay, so let's look at our answer choices. We have a little bit of variance. We have some different answer choices that were selected, which I'm actually a little bit surprised on this one. I thought we would be a little bit more uniform, but that's okay. Let's go over it. Okay, so key thing, let's start with this little pen color, red. Okay, do I have my pen or what? Why are they always like this? They make me struggle through life. Okay, so except, this is one of your first clues. So all of the following are examples of risk-adjusted stratification, except. So there's one of these that doesn't fit. It's obviously C, but let's go over it. So stratification, what is stratification, right? This is when we're going to be arranging or classifying things into different groups. So that is stratification. Now we know for our babies, our infants, a lot of what we use is birth weight, right? So CLABSI rates by birth weight. This, oh my goodness, okay. Birth weight is our group, right? Our group that we're classifying the babies into. Right, so okay, they weigh this much to this much, this is their rate, this much to this much, this is their rate, this much to this much, this is their rate. B, needle stick injuries by profession. All right, so who's more likely to get a needle stick injury? Is it going to be our EVS workers? Is it going to be our nurses, our physicians, our imaging peeps. So you're classifying, again, you're sorting into different groups. You're classifying them or putting them into a group. CLABSI rates by type of line. All right, so what we're choosing here is a type of line. What line is really the most dangerous, right? Are we getting the most CLABSIs with our femoral lines, our IJs, our PICs? Like, boom, the type of line. So with A, B, and C, you have everything stratified into a group. Now, sorry, A, B, and D. A, B, and D. You have everything stratified into a group. Now with C, the CAUTI rate for the ICU, that's just a rate. It's just telling you the rate for that unit. There's no, you're not grouping them into anything. Males in the ICU, females in the ICU. You're not, looking at days, how many days the cat. It's just a rate. Does that make sense? Does that help you understand the stratification portion of risk adjusted stratification? Does that help you see why C is the correct answer? Okay. Don't let them play with you, okay? Do not let them play with you when you're taking this test. If these questions are tricking you right now, that's fine, because that just means that, we're getting ready for them. You're going to show up to this test and you're going to slay, period. I said what I said. All right, next question. Oh wait, we got to read through the rationale. Okay, stratification is a form of risk adjustment that involves classifying data into subgroups based on one or more characteristics, variables, or other categories. For example, a measure's population might be stratified by gender before calculating rates, resulting in separate rates for males and females. In infection prevention, it is common to stratify infants by birth weight when assessing infections and infection risk, or to stratify sharps injuries by time of day, role, and unit. Each subgroup becomes a separate denominator, or a population of interest, with the numerator event of interest the same for the subgroups. Separate rates are then calculated for each group, so we know who's going to be the riskiest, at most risk. Okay. Question 8. The Infection Prevention and Control Team has adopted the reduction of healthcare-associated MRSA as an annual goal. It has implemented improved processes and plans to monitor the effectiveness of these processes. Which of the following performance improvement tools will assist in identifying effectiveness? A, an affinity diagram. B, a run chart. C, a process flow chart. Or D, a Pareto chart. Okay, so let's see what kind of answer choices we have. Okay, so we have we have a lot of different answers. Okay, we got to read chapter 16, guys. I need you guys. You guys got to read your quality concepts. Okay, so we have B's, C's, A's. Okay, every answer choice was selected. Okay, that's okay. That's why we're here. Okay, so the correct answer is a run chart. So the Infection Prevention and Control Team has adopted the reduction of healthcare-associated MRSA as an annual goal. It has implemented improved processes and plans to monitor the effectiveness of these processes. Which of the following performance improvement tools will assist in identifying effectiveness? Okay, run charts are useful for identifying variations and trends, especially when assumptions for construction of control charts are not met. Run charts display observed data that can reveal trends or patterns over a specified period of time. They can be used in any with any type of data, discrete, continuous, etc., and do not use any statistical calculations aside from measures of central tendency. They require at least 20 data points for reliability. So that is once again chapter 16, our quality concepts. Okay, so our Pareto charts, what do we use Pareto charts for? What can somebody explain to me what we use Pareto charts for? Because it's my favorite. We just have to touch on Pareto charts because they're my favorite. So can someone explain to me how, like, what a Pareto chart is? 80/20. Okay, so I have Juanita. She's saying 80/20 prioritization. Joyce, she's saying decide what to focus on. Good. Okay, so remember, Pareto charts are my favorite because they are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. They're going to tell you what are the issues that we need to really focus on? Because this is what, as far as medication errors, what are the things that are affecting this most? We're giving it at the wrong time, we're giving the wrong medication, et cetera, et cetera. It will tell you what you need to focus on most, the issues that are happening most, and how you can, like, you can pour a lot of your energy into reducing those problems. So chapter 16 is quality concepts, and my colleague who recently took her test, she literally just took it this month, was talking to me about her experience with the test, and she said, honestly, I wish one of the areas I would have focused a little bit more on was those performance measures, quality concepts, because it's not something that she really enjoyed reading, and so because it wasn't something that captured her attention, she didn't pay as much attention to it as she should have. Don't make that mistake. So when you're studying for your test, if you're finding areas of weakness, concepts that you continuously miss over and over again, they will come up on the test. So you need to make sure that you are tailoring your studying to your weaknesses and your strengths. Okay, I got to speed it up. I'm going way too slow. Okay, so which of the following would be a good tool to prepare for a joint commission visit? A root cause analysis, B, a gap analysis, C, multivoting, or D, PDSA, Plan, Do, Study, Act. So which one of those would be a good tool to prepare for a joint commission visit? Okay. All right. So we are preparing with this. Let's see. Good, good, good. We're doing much better with this question. A lot of people chose B, which is the correct answer. So which of the following would be a good tool to prepare for a joint commission visit? We're not going to use a root cause analysis because that's what we're using for any type of sentinel event, retrospective analysis, where, we've had an issue. Yes, it's a tool that the Joint Commission, asks you to use for any type of sentinel event, but it's not really what we would use to prepare. Multivoting, uh, this one should have just like immediately been like, nope, thank you, next. This is not it. She's not the one. D, Plan, Do, Study, Act. Is it something that you can use? Definitely once you identify gaps, you want to do process improvement projects, you want to get things looking better. Absolutely. You could definitely do that. But really, the most useful tool is going to be our gap analysis. Gap analysis is going to be our most useful tool. The way I remember gap analysis is literally through my Harry Potter presentation because um, I always remember Professor Trelawney. She's always, trying to see the future. And so you're going from you're going from a current state in your healthcare facility. You're going from a current state. This is where we are. We are where we are. This is the current state of the situation. And with a gap analysis, you're trying to reach a desired state. So you're trying to reach what is ideal? Where do we want to be? So if you're preparing for a joint commission visit, you know that you have certain standards, certain guidelines, recommendations that you want to follow. And so if you can identify where I currently am to where I need to be, that's going to be the best tool for you to use. Business and quality professionals describe a gap analysis as a technique to determine the steps to take to move from a current state to a desired future state. A gap analysis begins with 1, listing characteristic factors such as attributes, competencies, or performance levels of the present situation or what is, and 2, listing factors required to achieve the future objectives or what should be, and 3, identifying the highlights or gaps, quote unquote, that exist within the process and that must be filled to meet a goal or achieve standard compliance. Literature also refers to a gap analysis as a need gap analysis, needs analysis, and needs assessment. Question 10. Which of the following processes should take place after an adverse event has occurred? A failure mode effect analysis, B, a root cause analysis, C, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats analysis, or D, an infection control risk assessment. So which one of those should take place after an adverse event has occurred? Okay. All right, let's talk about the first one that we can immediately get rid of. What is the absolutely first thing that you can get rid of without even thinking about it? The first one that you can get rid of is absolutely A. Which of the following processes should take place after an adverse event has occurred? A failure mode effect analysis. This tool is used to prevent issues. All right. It's a proactive tool. This is what you're doing before something happens, not after, right? So which of the following process should take place after an adverse event has occurred? And with that, we can cross off D as well. So we are left with B or C. And the correct answer is going to be our root cause analysis, which a lot of you did select. So very good. Tap, 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 clap, 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 snap, snap, snaps. Good job. So the RCA process takes a retrospective look at adverse outcomes and determines what happened, why it happened, and what an organization can do to prevent the situation from recurring. A thorough RCA determines 1, the human and other factors, 2, the process or system involved, 3, underlying causes and effects of the process, and 4, the risks and potential contributions to failure or adverse results. And remember, whenever you do a root cause analysis, you are not focusing on individual blame, culpability, right? We're focusing on the system, what caused this issue to happen, this adverse event to occur, and you are never doing the blame and shame game. Okay, next question. The IP has implemented a new educational program focusing on teaching safe injection practices to the staff nurses. Several months after the program is initiated, the IP is notified of a potential outbreak issue. A nurse used a medication vial for more than one patient. Which of the following quality tools would be most useful to investigate this incident? A, value stream mapping, B, RCA, C, SWOT analysis, D, FMEA. Okay, let's see where we are. Okay, we have lots of B's, some D's. Those are the primary two, B's and D's. Okay. Mm. All right, guys, all right, you guys need to review this one. FMEA, failure mode effect analysis. All right. So failure mode effect analysis, okay. The FMEA tool is a proactive, preventative approach to identify potential failures and opportunities for errors. Preventative, proactive approach. With this question, the IP has implemented a new educational program focusing on teaching safe injection practices to staff nurses. So, you're out here, you're doing education. Several months after the program is initiated, the IP is notified of a potential outbreak issue. A nurse used a medication vial for more than one patient. Which of the following quality tools would be most useful to investigate this incident? A failure mode effect analysis at this point is useless. All right. We have had a major incident that has occurred. You have a potential outbreak issue. I don't know what the outbreak is about. It could be hepatitis C, hepatitis B. The vial could have been contaminated with some sort of fungal. We have no idea, but we know that we have a major incident and we need to understand why that happened. So the correct answer is going to be a root cause analysis. You're going to try to figure out why this happened. And there's going to be a lot of other things that are going to need to take place with something like this when something like this gets reported. But for those of us who are selecting failure mode effect analysis, I need there to be a little bit of a review, because you would not use a proactive and preventative tool once you have a major incident occur. And value stream mapping and a SWOT analysis, just thank you, next. We would not use those. All right, so the RCA process takes a retrospective look at adverse outcomes and determines what happened, why it happened, and what an organization can do to prevent the situation from recurring. The RCA process avoids individual blame, considers human factors engineering, and analyzes redesign for a safer system. So again, a thorough RCA determines 1, human and other factors; 2, the process or system involved; 3, underlying causes and effects of the process; and 4, the risk and potential contributions to failure or adverse results. Question 12. The IP must prepare a cost-benefit analysis for the proposed purchase of a new electronic surveillance system for the hospital. Which statement about the CBA is correct, or cost-benefit analysis? A, all measures are expressed in monetary terms, US dollar. B, only costs are expressed in monetary US dollar terms. C, CBA is never based on existing financial data. Or D, the monetary value of possible benefits is often highly speculative. Okay, let's see. All right, I have D's and A's. All right, so the correct answer is A. The IP must prepare a cost-benefit analysis for the proposed purchase of a new electronic surveillance system for the hospital. Which statement about the CBA is correct? All measures are expressed in monetary terms. Okay. A cost-benefit analysis is a systemic method. Sorry, my goodness, I always do this. Why do I do this? CBA is a systematic method of estimating the strengths and weaknesses of alternatives that satisfy transactions, activities, or functional requirements for a business. It is a technique that is used to determine options that provide the best approach for adoption and practice in terms of benefits, such as labor, time, and cost savings. CBAs can help determine which alternative is a sound investment or decision by comparing the total expected cost of each option against the total expected benefits. The comparison shows whether the benefits outweigh the costs and by how much. So, chapter one, if you've missed a couple from chapter one, that probably means we need to go back and read chapter one. Question 13. An example of using stratified random sample of surgery patients for measuring performance is selecting A, the sample through random computer selection, B, all surgical patients, C, every third surgical patient, I think it should be patient, or D, all patients of the four surgeons with the most patients. Okay, where are we answer-wise? All right, we have a lot of C's. We have some D's, some B's. Okay. The correct answer is going to be every third surgical patient. So, an example of using stratified random. Random. All right. An example of using stratified random sample of surgery patients for measuring performance is selecting every third surgical patient. This is really the only one where we're using some form of stratification where it's every third person, but it's also random. Like you have the ability to have that randomized picking. If you pick all patients of the four surgeons with the most patients, that's not that's not very random. All surgical patients. Okay, well, what? Like, how is that a stratified random sample if we're choosing all surgical patients? Sample through random computer selection. I can see why you might be leaning towards that one. I would definitely think that, most of us would probably lean towards either A or C, but every third surgical patient is stratified random. So, an example of using stratified random sample of surgery patients for measuring performance is selecting every third surgical patient because the sample is done of a predictable basis. Other means of stratification may be by age, gender, or other characteristics. While a small sample size may skew the data, a huge sample size may generate so much data that analysis is more difficult and time consuming. So, with a large population, some type of sampling should be considered. And this is coming down to all of those statistics. Statistics. You gotta know your statistics. Okay, I'm only going to give you 3 seconds for this one. When classifying infection risks for infants, the infants are usually stratified by A, comorbidities, B, age, hours or days, C, gestation, or D, weight. I told you, you need no time for this one. Good job. A++, 5 stars. Nobody put a different answer. Everybody chose D. All right, snaps all around. Great job, peoples. The correct answer is D, weight. Yes, the babies, the infants, weight. We want to know how much do they weigh? And then we'll take it from there. All right, rationale. When classifying infection risks for infants, the infants are usually stratified by weight. Stratification adjusts for risk by classifying data into subgroups, which each become a separate denominator although the numerators are the same for all subgroups separately. If separate rates are desired for females and males, then the population may be stratified by gender. Stratification alone is usually not sufficient to account for all confounding factors. So stratification alone is usually not sufficient to account for all confounding factors. Very good. Question 15. Which process is indicated to determine which steps need to be taken to move from the current state to a target state or a best practice? A, a root cause analysis, B, a gap analysis, C, failure mode effect analysis, or D, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis. Okay. Guys, you guys are doing good in this one, but come on. All right. We literally we discussed this. We discussed this today. We discussed this today. Which process is indicated to determine which steps need to be taken to move from the current state to a target state? All right. A target state is the same thing as desired future state, right? So again, how are you going to remember these quality concept tools? I'm telling you, for me, it's my Harry Potter stuff. I find the silliest ways to remember things. Professor Trelawney, all right, she's a divination teacher, and I will not get this question wrong for the life of me because I have found a way to help it make sense in my brain. You need to find what that is for you. How is it going to make sense for you? We all think differently. Things connect and wire differently, or wired all, I don't know. It's like, it's so odd for me. Sometimes I'm like, this is how I get to the answer, but it takes me 10 steps, where for somebody it might only take them 3 steps. So the correct answer is a gap analysis. We're going from a current state, what is, to a target state or a desired future state. I'm not going to read that because we've been over this. Okay. Question 16. With statistical process control, SPC, which of the following would be classified as common cause variation? A, new onset norovirus infections. B, consistent increase in incidence of catheter-associated infections over a 3-month period. C, sudden increase in rates of MRSA infections over a 3-month period. Or D, consistent slight variations in rates of MDRO infections each month for 1 year. Okay, so we have some C's and some D's. Charles, I don't see your answer on here yet. What do you think it is? Okay, so the two that are winning, or the two that were most commonly selected, were C and D. The correct answer is going to be D. So with statistical process control, which of the following would be classified as a common cause variation? All right, so let's read through our rationale. According to statistical process control, process are either subject to common cause variation. Common cause variation is inherent to the process, such as consistent slight variations in rates of MDRO infections each month for 1 year. The variation is not related to any specific change in process or action. Special cause variation is associated with changes or problems with a process, such as a sudden onset of infections and consistent increase in incidences of infection, which may indicate inadequate prevention measures. So you have your statistical process control, and then you have special cause variation. So special cause variation, right, is associated with changes or problems with a process such as a sudden onset of infections and consistent increase in incidences of infection, which may indicate inadequate prevention measures, which is special cause variation. So if we go back, special cause variation would make more sense for A, new onset norovirus infections, B, consistent increase in incidences of catheter-associated infections over a 3-month period, or C, a sudden increase in the rates of MRSA infections over a 3-month period. Not statistical process control, but special cause variation. So this is it. That was the last question. We are all done for today. Made it on time. If you found this stuff difficult, if you felt like you kept getting confused, thinking of, I was looking at my computer. If you got confused with quite a bit of them, you have to go back and you have to read these 2 chapters. You have to go over chapter 16 and you have to read chapter 18. And whenever you don't understand a concept, it is your responsibility to find a way to understand it. You have to find a book that helps you understand it. Watch a YouTube video that helps you understand it. Remember, it's going to be you, yourself, and yourself by yourself when you're taking this test. So identify your weaknesses and you got to work on them. You just have to work on them, whatever you need to improve on. And this is not only for the CIC test, right? This is part of good professional growth and professional development. What areas are you lacking in understanding? And how do you need to grow? Not just for this test, but even just as a infection preventionist or an epidemiologist. Okay. We have a question. What is the best YouTube channel to be followed? There's the Kearns Rivers CIC review. That's a good one. I also post our stuff on YouTube. And that's CIC epidemiologists on YouTube. And really, to be honest, on YouTube, you just kind of have to, whatever you're trying to learn more about, you have to type that in and then see what videos come up. And, the first 1 or 2 that you watch may not be helpful, but maybe the third one is. Repetition. It's all about repetition and finding ways to understand things. Okay, guys. Um, Happy holidays. Thank you for joining us today. There's there's quite a bit of you now on the law. I don't know what happened. We started out with a small group and now it's not so small, but okay. Thank you everyone and we will see you next week or I will see you next week and because listen, we have 8 weeks left. We got to keep it moving. Okay. Thank you guys. Goodbye. Oh, and sign up for your test. If you haven't signed up yet, you just got to do it. Okay. Commit. You just got to do it. Just channel your inner David Goggins and keep it moving. Okay. Goodbye.